I was way too shy.
I understand that. I wanted to be, all right, good. Hi, everybody. I wanted to do acting and singing and all that too. Okay, good. Well, I know there's a little bit of a delay, so we will give YouTube a moment here to connect, and I'm so excited. So here we are, and we're going to be here starting another incredible show discovering who we are becoming and who we are designed to be. So I'm going to share my screen, and we should probably be right about up to speed on YouTube. Okay, good. Okay, welcome everyone. Akasha here, Nan Akasha from nanakasha.com, and thank you for joining me on the Infinite Show. This is one of my series that we do. We do some master classes, we do some live readings, I do a weekly spiritual weather report and a multidimensional meditation. And this week, your spiritual weather report will be yesterday's show with expert astrologer Donna Stellhorn. So you listen to that. We are going to go ahead and post that over in the spiritual weather report because she can tell you way better about the energies that are happening right now than I can. And when we hung up from the call, or we stopped going live, she looked at me and said, we meet once a week. She's my teacher. And she looked at me and she said, there's something that happens when you and I are together. Stuff comes through me that doesn't come through me normally. This is so amazing. So you don't want to miss that. And then on Sunday, and we're putting up a separate, I did a 30-minute process connecting you to another life, most likely an ancient or what we might call linear time, past life, where you have not only the wound in common that needs to go and be finished for both of you, but a power. And that's what's happening to a lot of us. Who are we becoming? We're becoming conscious that we are a multidimensional being and we have other lives in our soul and we have access to all of it. And we have a soul that was designed specifically to have certain lives that are key to come together for you. So hi, that's me if you don't know me. And these are the specials at the shop. That's our retreats this year. So come and check it out. And here's our schedule for the week. So what you're becoming is we've gathered all a week of people together who are actively daily in their personal lives, like Joan today, where our personal lives are our spiritual lives, where who we're becoming isn't something we do on our spare time, but it's coming up every day. It comes up with my clients. It comes up in my classes with my students. It comes up in my personal life. It comes up with patterns and people around you. So this idea that we're becoming something isn't that you have to strive for it. It's that you have to recognize you're already designed for it. Like a seed or a nut, there's a blueprint inside of it. We have one too. So today we're going to play with the angels with my dear friend Joan, and we have a bunch of other amazing speakers coming up. You can take a peek here that are going to show all different aspects of how to look at who you're becoming. How do you let go and acknowledge what doesn't serve you anymore, whether other people like it or not? There's easy stuff to let go of, right? But there's the stuff that if you stop being that, then someone in your family gets upset and you want to please everybody, but you want to get over the pleasing pattern. And so you're at these crossroads, and this is where a lot of people are. There's a lot of struggle, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of polarity happening. And what we're doing is walking right through the middle of it where the light is. There isn't an opinion in the middle. There isn't somebody over here saying more rules and you can't, and there isn't somebody over here saying fuck rules and nobody this. This is where you are becoming an antenna for your own soul. And then you get to access powers that you have that you haven't remembered or haven't been able to access because they're buried inside of wounds and beliefs. So we have all these different things from doctors and scientists to human design to angels and all of these different things, Akashic specialists, astrological specialists. So we're going to be having an amazing week. So we also want to acknowledge that we are coming out of the eclipse portal. And as I've talked about in many of the recent spiritual weather reports, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube, get notifications so you know when we go live or post something. And you can go and see the playlist. All the spiritual weather reports or all the multidimensional meditations are there for you. And there's a lot on this eclipse. It's going to be affecting you for a while. We're coming out of a full moon. So we have some really powerful and unusual energies. So let's now dive into our incredible and wonderful Joan. Joan is, I think I found Joan. I was guided to Joan. When the pandemic first started, I was quite ill. My partner had had a seizure and couldn't leave a dark room or function more than a newborn. And I was physically very ill as well. And I would sit there and I could barely sit up for 2-3 hours a day. And Spirit kept telling me, do a speaker series. And I'd done them before, but I was like, what? So it took a while to put it together because I kept having, I can't today and that. But I went out and I started to scan the internet completely intuitively, tuning into my team, all of my personal soul powers that I can access in that moment. And I just went by pure intuition. I saw Joan somewhere, I contacted her, and we've been playing together on and off ever since. And it's wonderful. Now, if you don't know Joan, you're in for a treat. She's also an artist. So we're going to talk about her angel channeling and her healing abilities, but she has this incredible ability to be present, to not just channel the angels, she embodies the presence. All right. And that's who we're becoming, is we're not going to be thinking, I wish I could be that, and keeping it at bay. And we're not going to be going, why am I not that? I want it right now, and be stuck in craving and disappointment. Those are low states of consciousness, right? There's always some separation or some limitation. But when you start to just embody, oh, I'm Joan of Angels, instead of, oh, I'm Joan and I talk to angels and it's really neat. Would you like to talk to me? When you start to embody who you came here to be, you live your own life, and it's way more interesting than anybody else's anyway. So she's been assisting and guiding people for over 40 years, right? I was so busy pleasing everybody else, worrying that everybody liked me and everybody was taken care of, and putting myself last, that when it flipped to that and I started to listen to my own inner self, I'm like, wow, I like the stuff that I like. This is way more interesting. So 40 years as a doctor of chiropractic, as an intuitive guide, and her work is focused on helping people live happier and healthier lives, which is exactly what we need to do. Not being caught up in the focus of the chaos, of the breakdown, of the polarity, of the arguments. You don't want to be on either one of those arguments. Those are all everybody else's opinions. Come find your own. Okay. Your life and your calling are waiting for you to say yes, and to move forward fearlessly towards living the life you came here for. So you have a purpose and you have a mission. And once you find that, your life will take on a new meaning. You can find her at joanofangels.com. And now, thank you, Joan, for being here. Look at you.
First of all, great introduction, and what a great series, Neon. This whole issue and this whole subject of who we're becoming. How do we create the timeline of where we're going? How do we become that angelic or high being? Or how do we become who we know we can be? Which is what I've been training for and teaching forever. And I'm just so happy to be here to share the wisdom. And I just want to point out something so interesting. When we start to put into the field who we're becoming, it's almost sometimes hard to relate to who we were.
Yes.
You know, it's like having a new walk-in self. So I'm looking at the cover, the thumbnail for the show, and it says Joan Hangarter. Now, I went to chiropractic school as Joan Hangarter. I was a doctor of chiropractic as Joan Hangarter. I was a community leader and responsible healer as Dr. Joan Hangarter. But as I'm looking at that, ever since I was named Joan of Angels 7 years ago, it's been such a process, such a learning process of stepping into my higher potential, my higher fifth dimensional self and above. And so then even the name, I suppose this is what I want to say. You probably know this. I don't know if you were born Akasha,
No.
but when we take on these these more spiritual advanced names, and we carry that frequency of that energy. And I'm looking at the thumbnail going, oh my God, that's my old energy.
I saw
And
it too,
it
and
was
she
like,
just, because you've been on my shows for 4 years now. So she just took what she had. But as soon as I saw it just now, I had a hit. Like I felt like it almost took my breath away. I go, oh, that's not who she is.
right, right. And so this is a good place to start
Yeah.
because guys, we're all in this together ever since 2020 when the world was changed upside down. And I want you to know that that Corona, which was the original name, is light going viral. Think about it, light going around the world, radiant light going around the world to wake us up. So in a way, what looked like the worst of experiences, which it was, is also a way that was designed to wake us up as part of the Great Awakening as to who we are and what we're to be. And I hear from so many of my clients, it's like, well, who am I then? What do I do now? How do I build this life of mine now? And I'm going to say we start by feeling into, of course, now this is the subject of who you are, but how do we get to that, right? So in meditating on this and even talking to Nan 5 minutes ago about it, I realized that the first place to start is reminding all of us, me too, Nan too, that we came down here with a very specific mission. We came down here, most of us are volunteers of some sort or another. We're part of all the different, as Dolores Cannon says, we came down here knowing that Earth was in trouble. A call went out throughout the galaxies and the universes, and just like I did, we all raised our hand and yet, bring it on, I could do it, I could do it. There was a feeling of, we're here to serve. But it's not that simple, because then there's an assignment process. Was everyone who chose to come down here qualified? And so it's not like you just volunteered, guys. You actually went through a selective training. Your skills, your motivations, your heart, what you were designed for, and I say that really carefully, what we were designed to do these lifetimes, our overall top mission down, and I know Nan takes you through that, but what you were designed to come here for, why, what cog in the wheel are we fitting in? So now I know for myself, I'm a trainer. I remind people of who they are, what they can do. And I was told recently that I have a genetic, well, she said it was a genetic defect. I think it's a genetic asset.
Yes,
and this genetic asset is that I infuse people with the desire to step into the miraculous and have miracles. And I do that. And so just having someone confirm that for me was a high part in my life. But let's go back to this. So let's know that you were not only did you choose to accept an assignment to come down here, but you went through training for this assignment. You were chosen because our guides knew, higher power knew that you could accomplish what you came here to do. So they had extreme confidence in you and in your ability to wake up and in your ability to start to respond to all of those activation codes and assignments that you've been given for thousands of lifetimes. So what does this all mean? So in a sense, it's already known that what you came here to do, this presence that they're asking you to manifest, this new self, there's a template already there for you. It's just about learning how to access this template and even believing in it. And I like to think of it as a clipboard. I tell everyone they gave you a clipboard, a little celestial clipboard. And any color you want, it could be holographic. In fact, I think holographic is better because it's ever changing as you wake up. And so what's on this clipboard? Well, on this clipboard, oh, I didn't even know this, are all the names that you've had in spirit. On this clipboard is how the higher realms see you in these other dimensions, because they again know how powerful you were. And they also know that 2020 was designed as a cocoon and an initiation period to wake you up. So you are all a couple of years into this, into coming out of a deep slumber and a deep sleep. But the first thing to know is that they know who you are. Don't worry about it. You're not lost. And you're listening to this today, which means that you've already been awakening to these activation codes. Now, what happens next? What else is on that clipboard? Well, in a way, your assignment is on that clipboard. So we could say, Nan, you came to take people on deep dives and remind them of their divinity and to help show the way, and also to show people how you can heal yourself by being of service to others, by creating things in your life that push you past your own limitations. Like, there you are feeling sick and you're in recovery, and really, did you want to sit up at the computer for hours and start to design your program? Probably not, but you said yes because you knew that following that call would lead the way. So how are we communicated to about this? We get those downloads. Now, those downloads are pretty tricky because it takes training to understand and say yes, and to just not ignore. So when I got the call to paint 33 angels in 30 days, Nan, I said no at first. Like, oh, I can't paint eyes, I'm not that kind of painter. And then I heard the voice again. And I know many of you have the same experience. I heard the voice again. And then it was like, oh my God, 33 paintings. And I was doing oil at the time. That's going to smell. There's no room. Where am I going to put them? How am I going to think of 33 angels, And
it's
I was
so
like,
interesting how those programmed parts of us, I call it the doubt girl or whatever, just go after you. You can't. It's too much time. It's too much work. They won't do it. It'll smell.
right?
Oh my God, it's like somebody just pelting you with rotten fruit, while you're having this revelation of where to go.
Right. So here you are. You have the download. You're all set to go. And then every doubt comes in, and then every person who could also push you off your path. Because remember, the dark side, the other side, actually knows how powerful you are too. It's not just all the angels. The other ones also know, and there's an agenda to just knock you off your path, because they know that if you, like say Nan or Joan, step up and they help raise the vibrational frequency on the planet, whoa, they don't want that. Right. So now, and this is true, the next thing that will happen are all the reasons you can't do it. And that is part of the game we play. It is a game, guys, because after when they say to you the third time, paint 33 angels in 30 days, if you don't say yes, they're going to pass you by and go to thousands and thousands of other people who are energetically aligned to say yes. Yeah. And when that you get passed by, it's a difficult feeling. Things in your life might fall apart. They might not go right because you took. Is it the wrong path? No, you didn't take the quick manifestation path. You took the one that's going to cause you more challenges until the next awakening has. So I had a palm reader 2 years after I started painting. And he said to me, oh, Joan, did you know you were supposed to be famous, but you blew it because there had been a time that I didn't say yes. So your guides are constantly kind of cluing you in. Yeah. And because of our busy lives, or because it sounds too outrageous, who paints 33 angels in 30 days on a whim, right? Yeah. So it's too outrageous. The dark side has another chance to get at you. And I don't know why I usually don't talk about it in those ways, but all of this is designed to strengthen you so that you go yes. And your yes is a healthy yes. Your yes is enough to get you through the obstacles that then are placed in your way to make sure you get it. Now, meanwhile, you have a holographic clipboard that also has a whole group of skills that you came down here with. You didn't come down here like with your 3D brain. You actually, well, it looked like you had a 3D brain to get you here, but you came down here already clued in. You might be an empath. You might be an intuitive. You might be able to see the future. You might have an extraordinary compassion gift or a kindness gift, or maybe you're logical or technological or, so many, oh my God. And the way I first discovered it is that the man whose house I was living in, when I first started painting, Vaughn, I realized as I started getting clarity and seeing more, I could see that he came from the insect kingdoms, like that he came down here as a builder. He built things. I sort of saw him up in the higher dimensions with something that looked like Legos or teeter-totters, that he was building and constantly constructing. So we all have a whole group of skills. And I teach a class on how to assess your superpowers, how to know what they are, how to step into them, because it's really important. And because everyone's gifts come together differently.
Yeah.
So I can teach you how to make a little book of who you are, of what kind of skills you have, and how to work them best. So I'm willing to say that if Nan and I did a deep dive on intuition, say we were doing a master class together, it's a good idea, we would have 2 different ways of how we connect, or 5 different ways of how we actually do our work. Hers isn't better or worse than mine. Hers works for her. If I tried to incorporate all of Nan's techniques, some of them would work, some of them may not, because I have my own protocols. I learned that as a chiropractor, that
yes,
you learn how to adjust. Right?
I love my chiropractor. I was just there yesterday because he paints all these, he's got Buddhas and crystals, and then he paints these sayings on the wall about the the power that made your body heals your body, these kinds of things.
Yes.
Right. And it all about the flow of information, right, up and down, and how you have to be aligned, and you can just extract these into like spiritual wisdom from the alignment of the body. So yeah, I can see how you would have that interesting blueprint.
And the true path of chiropractic healing, in its truth, is learning how to connect to divine intelligence and open the floodgates. And what is divine intelligence but another name for the higher self, source? It's that which knows what your body needs far more than our mind. But let's continue on the deep dive. So how does one step into their presence, right? How does one step into their gifts and their knowingness? So let's say that you're sitting here watching and you're going, well, all sounds good, but I'm not actually on that clipboard. How do I access that clipboard? Or, and we could all sit here right now and see that your own clipboard. But one of the processes I love to teach is how do we really feel the presence of the divine and maybe fake it till we make it? How can we act like we feel the presence of the divine so that moment that it connects, and then you feel. Because in a way, that's the way I've always run my life. Act like I know what I'm doing and I know how I'm doing it. Someone says, Joan, can you call in UFOs? It's like, well, I haven't done it yet, but let's see. And I hear yes. And then I learn on the job.
Exactly.
So guys, being intuitive is learning on the job. Honestly,
it's the only way too, because you have to have the feedback. You can trust yourself and feel like you're getting better and feel like it's clearer or more consistent or whatever. But there's always going to be that doubt until you step into something where you get the feedback, whether it's from a client to say, oh my God, how'd you know that about me? Right. Or you see the outward a result from, we were told to move over here from Playa, and it made no sense. We loved where we were. We loved our condo. I was trying to protect it from other people renting it, and it was like, we just have to listen. And after we got here and other things happened in the pandemic, it was like, oh, and then just over and over that retrospect. Oh, wow. There's another reason why we're here, but I wouldn't have known it in my mind.
Right. Because my guides were really clear. So there I was, starting to paint 33 angels in 30 days, and they're all over the floor, and the whole, it was a penthouse. Everything smelled of oil. And it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do with this? It's a human mind. We go from 5th dimension, human mind again. And they were very clear. They were not going to give me another message, Nan, until I actually obeyed or listened to the first one.
I love that. I was interviewing someone the other day who's been blessed to be able to do funded research in science labs on energy healers and psychics and people like this. And one experience was to bring top intuitives from around the world into the lab and have them talk to plants and ask them specifically different things. And they wrote a protocol. It was all scientific. And they had one of the top intuitives in the world stop partway into the experiment and look at them and say, I can't proceed. The plant says you have to have a different protocol. It knows the protocol. So they said, okay, thanks, and let them go. Brought in the next expert. 5 minutes in, flew all the way from Japan. I'm sorry, I can't proceed. The plant says. And she said the whole experiment was a failure. They tried to push it because the logical scientific said, you've got to do it, we're funded. And when it all failed, they went back again and received a download of this very specific process from the plant. And then it succeeded.
Well, and that gets to, if you're a medical professional or a nurse practitioner and there is their scientific research, take this pill, but your intuition goes, that's not going to work. And the logical thing is this one, but so it takes training, guys. It takes a commitment and a training to be here now. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how I get here now and how I step into that presence of Joan of Angels. Because if you had told me I was going to have a name like Joan of Angels in my life and never relate to the old names again, by the way, because I'm a new being, and taking on a new name does energize you to the energy vibration of that. Mm-hmm. But if anyone had told me that I'd be that person in the room calling herself like Joan of Angels, Joan of Arc, like standing up and spreading wings, I would have thought you were nuts, because I was rather shy. And I would have said, not me, not me. I would never do anything like that. So guys, when you start to listen to this, they take you on a stairway, step by step. They start taking you towards where you're going. And suddenly you become aware that you are a being of light being activated. And truthfully, the first thing I'm going to say is remembering that you're here for a reason, even if you don't know the reason, and that you're a being of light, and that all you need to do is shine and your answers will come. I know that's very simplistic, but it's very true. And as a being of light, I just want you to work with me for 1 second. I'll show you how I'm going to give you a fast way how I do this. Do we have time?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, good. So sitting in your chairs, feet on the ground, bringing your shoulders back. And I always do this, bringing your shoulders back, because when I teach presence, because those shoulder blades, we all have shoulder blades, but they have another name. They're called wings. And I have to laugh. It's like, wow, the scientists actually knew these were wings. I have friends who remember coming to the planet millions of years ago and being separated from their wings. I have memories of having wings that were demolished and destroyed. There's memories of, as these high frequency beings that all of us were, of being attacked and shamed and mutilated for many, 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 many lifetimes for the gifts that we have, because the other side knew that God forbid she should remember who she is. We're in trouble. So they went out of their way. The higher your gifts were, and the more aligned you actually were with who you are, the more they came after you. So if you don't have full memory, start to forgive yourself for being in fear, because we have been assured that this lifetime we will not be penalized for remembering. And so as we bring our shoulders back, we're kind of waking up those angel wings that you have. And I start to call in right now and feel that right behind us are our guides or our angels. I like to see, I see 2 guardian angels behind each of you. And I see an archangel also. And it looks like it's Gabriel. Very, very interesting. I thought it was going to be Michael. It's usually Michael, because Michael comes in to cut all that fear away. So bringing the shoulders back and feeling your angels right behind you. And what they're doing now is they're actually taking out each wing, each feather in that wing, and they're cleaning it out for you. They're oiling it. They're making it new again. They're putting essential oils so they start to smell good. and they start to carry those healing energies. And you can actually literally feel the tingling of each of those wings. And so as they start to pull out those wings, some of you may start to feel colors. You may start to feel it as a white or a golden or a luminescence, but start to realize that it's like they've been taking it out of the closet or out of a drawer, a cubby hole, where they were hidden away for centuries. And so this lifetime is the lifetime where these wings are going to start to come out in full force and start to feel them expand and start to feel them give you that sense of, oh my goodness, and how good it feels. Nan, do you see your wings?
Yes, I'm having a lot of fun because you said they were taking them out and they actually felt like they slid them out like half of my body. Then they were over here like preening it and
Preening it. All their angels are preening it.
Yeah. And then they were like bringing back. Yeah.
Is there a color?
Yes, it was mostly like a very light gold at first, and then some glowing pink around, not the outside of them, but like the edges.
Kind of like your hair.
Inside. Yeah.
Kind of like your hair. And then how large are they?
They're pretty large, actually. They come up just above my shoulders, folded. Not really high up here, but here.
Amazing how they work around our chairs.
Ah.
But okay, guys, so now as you feel this, the way I do this, guys, is when I get dressed or when I'm preparing myself, say to go out in the world or on a Zoom call, and I start to put on my celestial suit, my protection, and then I kind of bring my wings back. And then if I go out to, say, Starbucks and I'm standing online, I'm literally there with my wings and my tribe. And when you're in this position of your shoulders back, you're really looking empowered. You look like the leader and the angelic being you are, and you'll be surprised. The energy in the room will change. People might look at you and go, God, who are you? What are you doing? Wow, I feel better since you walked in the room, because it's palpable. And it protects you from falling into maybe your 3D self that might feel less secure or more easily or more vulnerable, because you're embracing the power of the divine as you walk through the room, the presence of the divine. And that's probably a very good way to handle what's going out in the world these days. When you walk in the supermarket, if you have your wings, you're protected then from the energies of people who were there before you. The husband, the wife that had a raging fight, or, the people who had other difficulties, they deposit all of their energetic frequencies, they leave them behind in the mall. And there you are walking in the mall, and you suddenly don't even realize that you're not in your divine self. Or you turn on the TV and there's something so upsetting that you've lost your sense of presence. So tools like this bring us back into our sense of presence. And oh, by the way, Ann, I actually do this session called wing fluffing. I finally went public with teaching people how to fluff your wings.
Would you like your wings fluffed?
Yes, because what it does is it raises your frequency. It connects you with that innate intelligence that we started off talking about. Phew, well, that was great. My wings are fluffed.
I love it. So tell us about what you're holding.
Oh, I forgot that I was showing them. So a couple of weeks ago, I've been working on raising my own ability to have telepathic communication and to use my own communication to shift the energy in a room, to keep flies away, to change frequency. So I'm beginning that kind of work, and I began with spoon bending. And when I started in the class, the spoon was straight, both of them were straight, but honestly, I'm a beginner, and I'll tell you why. So it was a great class, and what I learned is that what I was reminded of, once I remembered that the spoon has no boundaries. We see a spoon that's metal, and it's a shape. But actually, if we had the inner sight, we'd see that it's all molecules, molecular structure, and they're actually moving, albeit slow, but they're still almost frozen, but they're moving. So what I did with my mind, because it hit me to do it, was I heated them up so they'd start to move and stretch beyond the spoon so that they became amorphous and didn't look like a spoon anymore. Once I did that, I had a sense of bend now. And so I bent now. And that's what this is. Now, the second step was to be able to do it with your mind. And so that's why I say I'm still a novice. This was the beginner spoon. But then you learn how to do this part, because that's the real thing when you can do that, but also to really learn how to do it with your mind. And again, this is all about who we becoming. Well, we're becoming extraordinary beings that came from other realms to come down here who have extraordinary gifts and superpowers that are designed to help you do what you came here to do and to carry the light and to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. I know. And waking up means coming out of your comfort zone, right? Wake up means people in your life may not like who you're becoming. And yet, ultimately, if you've already been through anything else in your life, right, where you put it off, you tried to ignore it, you tried to keep your normal life, and eventually you got ill, or you had a big, accident, or, you had a big blow up with your relationship or whatever, because the energy builds up. And so now we're really evolving very, very fast. So I love the spoon bending, because it's one of those things that people made fun of, people want that physical proof, to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it with my physical eyes and stuff. So it's so fun to see that. I love it. And now you use them more like forks for your antennas, right? Kind of.
Oh my God. And today I did a session with a woman who I'd sent to that spoon bending class. And the first thing she did was she held up her spoons, and then our spoons began to communicate. Oh, wow. They began to vibrate. And I taught her some tools of, how to use them. So yes, they're oracle tools now. Once a spoon, but now it's been activated and aligned with my energy to connect me right to the galactic.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you have that you can share or can come through you for people saying that can't unhook from, so it's real easy for those of us who haven't watched the news for 30 years or ever, right, to say, just don't watch the news, or just don't buy into the fear, or, all these things, because people live in families, people live in homes where other people are watching stuff that maybe isn't their own thing, and so on and so forth. So there's, my recent intuition class, the one lady was a healer and she had a center and she wasn't making enough money. So she was very depressed and she was burdened with the financial responsibility, and her whole face was all puffy and swollen, right? You could just see the congestion because she's restricted, she's full of fear, she's getting more and more into that. And she would have these awakening moments, but they were like you were talking about, you have to take a step on your path. It was let go of the healing center, right? But that's my dream, and that's this, and I want, and that's that staying stuck in wanting something or craving something. And then she said, but I can't decide anything because all of the news says the economy is going to crash. And how do you decide to do anything when everybody's saying that? And so there's all this drama going on out there. For me, I don't connect to it. I'm used to not connecting to it. What needs to get to me comes in, and I live in my own bubble. But you could see that for her, it was getting so toxic because she wasn't able to take action towards her soul's path, right? That then the fears were coming and they were swelling, within her. So what are some things
that's huge?
Yeah,
that's huge. The outside world is really designed to stop you cold in a lot of ways. If you really step back and we look at the world, we say, well, where are they supporting humanity? Where are they supporting me? And you'll see that they're really not. But I use what I call my discernment tools. And my discernment tools are really simple. on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the vibrational frequency for me? What's the vibrational frequency of hanging out with Nan? Well, that's like off the chart. What's the vibrational frequency of hanging out with my ex-husband? Okay. It's like dead. Okay. So I use a chart. It's more like a nothing, not dead, but a nothing. Okay. And so on the right is a 10, on the left is 0. 10 means you're all in, or it's fantastic for you. Maybe you want to know the vibrational frequency of aspirin because they all told you to take aspirin. And you sit there and you realize that it's like lead in your body. It hurts you. And so the art of discernment is also one of those skills, a superpower that we need to see how it lands with us. Now, I had that experience when I started working with exhibitors at Conscious Life Expo last year. I went, oh my God, because I follow a lot. And so I go, oh my God, I don't even know if the expo is going to happen next year. How can I ethically sell booths? These booths some of them are expensive. How can I do that? What happens if the expo isn't there? And then, I realized that I felt so good about what I was doing that it actually made me believe that the expo was going to happen. So I shifted my intentions and it was like, well, you do your thing, world. I'm going to sell these booths. I'm going to bring the best exhibitors down, all my friends, and speaking, and I'm speaking there. And sure enough, the expo had 16,000 people show up. Now, was it all me? Of course not. But I chose to really look at it. So now I'm leaving for Europe for 5 months. And it's the same thing. The economy is now really going off the chart, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And my guides are pushing me to go abroad. Even if I might go, oh, well, but I know I trust the guidance. And you know what? Having said no in ways that really did impact me, saying no to that voice, I have had painful lessons. That voice once told me, don't put your tax returns in the trunk. And I did anyway, because it made no sense. Like, why couldn't I put them in the trunk? And then I heard a voice say, oh, the trunk's going to open, they'll fly away. And I went, ridiculous. My imagination's overactive, and honestly, the tax returns did fly away. And someone has all of our social security numbers, so what can I say? Sometimes it takes painful lessons to get that your intuition is smarter because it doesn't follow what's happening here. It knows what's in your highest good. Yeah. So I'm being told to go to Europe now, I know is for my highest good. Exactly. If you're being told to open your center now, then it's probably
close your center.
Good, or close it, so.
Or leave a relationship.
Yes. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is the vibrational frequency of this relationship in all of its total? And if you can't say it's an 8, a 9, 10, I come home with happiness, and you're going, every time we're together, I feel like a lead weight and I feel more and more depressed, then the next question is how long are you going to stay in the abyss?
Yeah.
And reach out to someone like Nan or myself to get a grip, to get a hand up, to see with clarity, because understand that it's a heavy, dense planet. And when we get caught in the lower vibration, in that 3D mentality, doesn't mean don't pay your bills. It means there's a mentality. In fact, when I pay my bills, I add extra zeros coming in, and like I can even pay out thousands instead of hundreds. Next year it's going to be 20,000. I'm going to pay them 2,000. Really embracing the who we are becoming.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the timeline, the idea of shifting timelines or shifting your vibration so you attune to a different future or a different perception of reality, or you move up the scale. But that idea of, I call it a truth testing method, like what you were talking about, that I learned pendulum from a master for radionics, and we were analyzing people in a chart with hundreds and hundreds of things from 0 to 100, what every system and every chakra and all that. So I had to learn to be on charts, for the pendulum to go around charts and to pick things, and then what's the treatment and what's this, and on and on. And this lady was like, not a fun teacher, one of those spiritual teachers that just blow your mind, but also just are kind of mean. And she would double check me. No, do it again. No, it's like, wasn't like, I'm sorry, honey, you didn't get it yet. It was like, no, and yet, so that is my way, though, unequivocally. I could be emotionally upset and know that my intuition could be affected, the guidance I received through my intuition, which is how I live. However, I could go to my pendulum and know that it's that solid, right? And I'm sure that was a power from another level of my soul as well. But she was the one that came forward, and in not a really pleasant way, but a very powerful way, gave me that. And so whether you do muscle testing or pendulum or whatever, but yeah, exactly. And this is where you start to ask yourself. So you might get the intuitive hit or hear the voice. Don't put the taxes in the. I had a friend, I taught a class. My very first online class was called The Spirit of Money. And I taught it with another lady. And she was driving, after we became friends, she was driving across country with her little kids and her husband, asked if they could spend the night at our house just as a pass through. I was like, sure. So we pulled a mattress out in the living room and the kids slept on it and they peed on the mattress. And the next morning she's apologizing profusely because she said, I was told 4 or 5 times while I was packing to bring the pee pads. And I kept saying, no, we don't need them anymore. So it could be something that it's not the end of the world, right? But that action is part of the action you were talking about. Action, listening, actioning, taking action on what you hear. Yeah.
And you learn most by what you didn't do.
Yeah.
Okay. You sort of take it for granted that things are going right, but when you didn't listen is when you get the biggest lessons. But I have this interesting feeling as I was tuning into all the people listening, and I had the feeling of this process, like I saw someone energetically with like a little suitcase, and they were trying to get it up to the next step, because they were listening. Okay, we're gonna pretend, we're gonna act like it is, and putting this little suitcase and then trying to pull themselves up to the next step. And the only thing I'm going to say about that is you can't take the suitcase with you, because we don't take our suitcase and our luggage to heaven. So we drop that suitcase, because that suitcase becomes your anchor. It stops you cold. But I do see that there's this energy of just really reaching up and just say, yes, thank you. Yes. Bring me more. Bring me, so anytime I do a good reading and I felt intuitive or a good presentation, it's like, yes, thank you. Bring me more. Thank you. Bring me more. Thank you. Bring me more. Even if it was a tiny little flash, doesn't even matter. It's like, oh yeah, okay, thank you. Bring me more. Because then they know you want this. They know you're going to act on it. They, 2020, they said, Joan, if you stop, I was excited about being called Joan of Angels, and I didn't, no one else called Joan of Angels, and said, Joan, you were gifted this name because of what you're to do and the work you're here to do. And if you don't say yes to it, it's okay. We don't, there'll be someone else who's going to do it. And so it's not about, who you are. It's about why you've chosen and what you're here to do, to say yes to your destiny, my friends. We need you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we are all one. Scientists the other day told us that what are we made out of at a scientific, at that level? And it's these different waves, and one is love, pure love. And they said that literally, even from a scientific perspective, every molecule of every person was created from a wave of love consciousness.
Right.
So why are we here? To remember we're loved, right? To embody that essence. And that's what I was saying about you in the beginning, is the difference between Joan and people. And there's nothing wrong with, I do this healing work, I'm new at it. You have to be new at it at some point, right? But at some point, when you recognize your personal journey and what you do, and it's okay if you're a banker, you take your energy to the bank, okay? You don't have to be a woo-woo person. But when those two blend together, then the timelines that you're shifting in and out of, or the different realities that you're tapping into, like you said, becomes this fluid thing, right? And you get to be, instead of trying to figure out, well, who am I and when is it going to happen and why hasn't it happened yet and what if I do it wrong or whatever, right? You're in the flow, and then you start to embody it, and then you have people say, you radiate.
And that's exciting. And you do, by the way. You absolutely do. And people see the light coming out of you. They feel better when you walk in there. When I hopped on Zoom with you this morning, I felt better instantly. It was like, oh my God, there's, wow, I love her energy. I feel better around her. In fact, I become a better person because I feel better. And that is also how we interact with each other. You know, consciousness changes. And if we put positive things into the stream of consciousness, we get it back. So if you put out, oh my God, you know, this is exciting, then your other people pick it up, and now you're playing in the same field.
Yeah. Isn't it worth it to, and I know we were all conditioned, you know, to different degrees, to different beliefs about whether you're good enough or what you could have or what you could do and all of that stuff. So, but it's all breaking down so fast, and then none of it is fun anymore. If you're just like, what would I do if I could just decide that, right? That design of your soul is surprisingly not the authoritarian experience that we've all had, where we were told you weren't good enough or you're stupid or burned at the stake or whatever, right?
Right.
Or criticized. That part of the true blueprint of who we were designed to be, the reason we love the things we love, because that's part of it, right? You being this painter or being this angel person, and then combining that because you were willing to take the task, like the soul journey. Okay, you want into this next level, go on this journey, Joan. Go paint these paintings, because every time you do that, I was given something similar. I'm just realizing, oh my gosh, I'm thinking it was like 10 years ago, maybe more. I got the download to do soul readings. Now at that time, I don't know how long ago, it was probably more than that, but I wasn't charging very much. I'm guessing maybe they were $50 or $60. It was an hour. And it was
phone. I remember those days.
Right. And it was phone. There was no video, nothing. I mean, I was a healer when it was snail mail. Okay. So phone was light years of it, you know, you could actually talk. But the whole thing is I designed this, you know, I downloaded this whole thing of like, what are the different aspects of the soul that I will receive information on? Like, what are your powers? What are your fears? What are your desires? Like all these things that make up. And I didn't know anything about the people. And that was part of the requirement. The assignment from my spirit team was all they wanted me to ask was, what's your name? Where were you born? And when, you know, like those. And so I would just say, okay, be comfortable, listen. If you have a crisis, talk. Otherwise, at the end, you can give me feedback. And I would talk for an hour straight. I would channel. I would just tune into them. And I don't even remember what my process was at the time, but I would tune in, and then I would just start going through the different things. And then it would be like, oh, your soul level this, and then blah, all this other stuff would come through. Didn't know shit about people. And that's the place to talk about discomfort, right? When you put yourself out there. I put it out there and got 50 for 1 month. I did 50 friggin' soul readings in 1 month. Do you think that kind of commitment, like you said, changes your level of expertise, confidence, and the quality of what you're able to do? Freaking 1,000%, right? 1,000%. So you could give yourself a mission like that, but there's something that you could do where it's not, oh, I can't believe I have to do this, or why am I not being paid more, or whatever else. But you realize that there's something you're going to become in the process.
Yeah, I did that. So after that deep dive, and they said, you know, Joan, you came here, whatever they said, was saying to me, I said, okay. And I sat down and I heard another prompting. Why don't you do 30 days of YouTube videos on activating and mastermind and awakening processes? And that's what I did. I had no idea what I was going to teach. 30 days worth. And for the most part, it was a great series. And I just did it. So every day I'd get up 9 o'clock sharp. And that was my commitment to me and because I made it to the world and followed through. And so that's the other thing, guys, you know, it is that following through with of all. You can have the most brilliant downloads, but they're still designed to get you going. They're designed to help you step into who you are becoming. Now, if you're happy with who you are, keep it up. But if you have, you know that you're here to do more, then that does take that willingness to step into it. That yes.
The spiral consciousness, right? It's like unraveling and recognizing that you're on a path that's uplifting all the time. You can't not be on that path. And so,
Right.
allow yourself to shift out of the old identities and everything.
And it's far more exciting because your opportunities are there. It's just far, far more exciting.
So take a moment to close us with what kind of an answer comes through when you say, well, who are we becoming? And what is the angelic or the answer that's coming through in that is the guidance for everybody listening that's optimal at this time?
Who am I becoming? I am becoming a radiant being of light who manifests the higher dimensional frequency as he or she walks on the planet. I am becoming that which I came here to be, a seed from source, here to awaken, aspire, uplift. I'm becoming one who steps into the path of mastery, who puts aside her fears or his fears and says, yes, bring it on. Yes, I trust the divine. I am one who's become a paintbrush with the divine and who has taken the hand of the masters who have come here to show who we are and where we're going. I am one who says yes to my destiny. And that is who we are becoming. We are becoming those masters.
I love that. We are becoming the one who says yes to our destiny. Thank you so much, my dear. I'm so excited. This was so much fun, of course. You're one of those people that I can play with at this level where we're just like, woo, 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 just stuff coming through. And it's just all so beautiful. Oh my gosh, we got so many treats and so many delicious goodies there during that.
I think it's so funny because we started with the name, Joan Hangarter. We both had the same epiphany about it because we were discussing, well, what should we be talking about? And there it was, right there. Who we were and who we're becoming. And what does it feel like where we were? And now what does it feel like where we're becoming? And even a name can resonate. Your closet can resonate.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting to hear your story about how you once were in this life someone who would feel awkward saying your name was Joan of Angels, because the same thing happened to me. Akasha is my spiritual name. And I was going through my primary mystery school, but several mystery schools, and I was going yearly, and we were in Egypt or here or there. And hundreds of people around the world. Sometimes the group was 30. In Egypt, it was 200. It just depended. So I knew a lot of people on my path, and I would see them in Sedona, and then I would see them in Miami, and then I would see them, and people kept coming up to me for almost 2 years. You have a spiritual name. You have a spiritual name. And I'm like, I know, and I'm not hearing it. And I knew exactly why I wasn't hearing it, because it felt pretentious to me. I felt like, oh, I don't mind if someone else says that, but, and it was, part of that,
Right.
lack of self-esteem, all that stuff still. And so it wasn't until I got separated, the divorce wasn't done, but I got separated, and we didn't start divorce for, I don't know, almost a year. So at 6 months after I asked for the separation, I met Chris, my soulmate that I'm with now. And that was 18 years ago. And as soon as we were together, we started being together quietly, and then so on and so on. And then he started coming. So he joined the mystery school and came up to speed. And we were in Miami together at an event. And bam, just came right in. The first activation. We went in, we were in our group, we went in, I was in the middle of the activation, and Akasha. And the whole day, I didn't say anything. I just kept saying, really, 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 really? Is that a name? Is that this? I knew what the Akasha was and the, concept behind it and stuff. And then all these things started to happen to give me that feedback. And then it was a while before I would say it out loud.
Right.
But then it was not like, oh, I had to get separated from my ex before I could hear my spiritual name, but that was part of the energy, that shifted. And then it was the comfort to receive it, to accept it, to embody it, and then became my name. And I can't, like you, I can't imagine. It just is who I am. So it doesn't faze me anymore. So you have different layers inside of you. Maybe you're not hearing, maybe you don't have to change your name, right? But there's other aspects of it. And I thought that it was sort of like a vain thing, a pretentious thing, just to have this name to look cool. And what happened for me and for you was embodying this name changed the nature of who we were. It attuned us to our natural frequency, and we were able to channel things through, because it was like, you're off center. No, you're in line. And Akasha, what does it mean? Well, it means sky, but it's like the field of infinite possibilities and the stuff you make form from. And so I went through many, many phases over the years of how am I that, or how do I embody that, until now I'm like, yeah.
And it was activated by meeting your partner.
Yeah.
Flame. And that's also, sometimes there's that patience of just trusting it's going to happen when it happens. I too went through the same thing about my name, and then someone named me. It's like, oh.
Yeah, you resisted it until it just, found a way through, like a cat. They go, I want your food, go around that way, go around that way, go around this way. They'll find a way, find a path. So wonderful. Well, I hope everybody's as inspired as I am from Joan's beautiful sharing, from all the information from her story, and the idea that, I love how you just came in and you just started weaving everything into who we're becoming. Because it's not that you have to figure out who you're becoming. You don't need a blueprint. It's already inside of you. It's trusting that, right? So you probably have something. How about, do you want to give them a quest?
A quest. Okay, a quest. That's
a
so
little quest to go out from today. I'm getting ready to do a class where we're going to go on a quest, and it feels like you could send them out today to do something.
Okay, guys, here it is. Go out in the world, having been activated with your angels. Take your guides and angels with you. Really raise up your wings before you go out. I did this at the Conscious Life Expo. I sent everyone out from the class to walk around like this. Start to really feel and embrace, walk into, your normal life, places you go, but feel like what it really feels like when you're solid, when you're grounded and in this higher energetics. Take that as your personal mission and report back to Nan and I.
Yes, please. Yeah, definitely. You take the process Joan took us through, listen to it again till you can kind of, really anchor it in, and then, embody that. I don't know about anybody else, but since the eclipse, not everything was eased and lightened up right away. It takes time, but there was a huge shift like that. I felt like a whole being, a part of my being left, and I saw it outside the window, and it was all burdened and, this kind of thing. And I'm now, like, I've been working on adjusting my posture, my neck, and it's a very painful process of many years. And now all of a sudden I'm standing like this, and I feel like I'm about 5 feet taller energetically. It's like the light body now is this way rather than this way. It was like so much burden. Okay, my dear, joanofangels.com. What's your YouTube channel? Same?
Everything is Joan of Angels.
Perfect.
So joanofangels.com, at Joan of Angels. YouTube is Joan of Angels. I just started a Substack blog, Joan of Angels. Instagram, Joan of Angels.
Perfect.
So all Joan of Angels.
We'll play with Joan somewhere so that you can give her feedback on the quest.
Yes. And I can't wait to do some more playing with you, Nan.
Yes. We are going to cook up some wonderful stuff. It's in the ethers.
Oh yeah. We have a lot of stuff, I can tell. Yeah. You're so fun. I love your series. I love your heart. I'm so honored to be part of it.
Thank you, honey. I love you. Mwah.
Mwah.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a beautiful
You
day.
too. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Well, good. Oh, another fantastic day, you guys. So please share this with everybody that you know. And if it's a particular, topic that you think somebody will resonate with, and then maybe they can find someone else. So what we want to do is raise the frequency. We want to give everybody who's ready for guidance that they might hear. They might hear one little thing, or they might see Joan and then go to her site and see her artwork, which we didn't even talk about. We're going to have to do that another time. And so there's so much out there that is positive and loving and uplifting. So whoever you're becoming, you're supported. And we talked about that the other day. The more your intuitive self is allowed to align and hear its own voices and guidance, the more you're going to realize your life is way more interesting than anybody else's. You've got guidance, you've got crystals talking to you, you've got all this wonderful stuff happen. So I would love to hear about your quest with your angel wings and your presence. I'd love to hear feedback about your soul power, past life process, and anything else. Please have a beautiful and blessed day and spread this everywhere you go. Remember, your little feet have a chakra and they're kissing the earth and they're leaving a path of light. Are you leaving a slug and a bunch of heavy energy because you're so burdened down with your fears, or are you going to be embodying light? Because that's how we have to change. We have to make that choice and listen to people like Joan, who tell you, you can do it. You have it within you. You are supported. You are light. There is a way. There is a way. There is a way. Okay, my darlings. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. See you tomorrow.